90% of products fail. So getting that discovery process right, selecting the right idea and being pretty confident that there is actually potential there gives you a huge advantage when it comes to actually building a startup that is going to be successful, a startup that can actually be profitable. So in this video, I'm going to really open up the doors, the back end on how I generate and assess startup ideas really, really quickly. You can generate hundreds of startup ideas, very easy go on to ChatGPT right now, but getting the right idea for you, and secondly, using specific filters that have been tried and tested by me and by other very successful entrepreneurs, is just going to give you a massive advantage when it comes to launching a successful business. So we want to get lots of ideas down, but we want to be filtering them really effectively so that we end up with a couple that really have potential. Let's jump in. So for anyone that hasn't been following, I'm building 12 startups in 12 months. That's one per month, more or less. That means I have to move really, really quickly. I'm expecting 9 to fail, no revenue, maybe negligible. 3 to make decent revenue, maybe $500. And one of those 12 to be able to pay my bills, right? So let's say 4,000 euros per month in consistent income. I've launched my first product and I'm going on to the second startup now. So this week's been all about discovery, really trying to assess what's essentially, what's the problem, what's the solution, what's the business going to look like. So I'm going to share firstly how I generate problems and show you the problems that I'm thinking about solving. I'm then going to show you how I really effectively assess those using MIRO. And then I'm going to talk about actually a big shift I've made in thinking this week and share the idea that I'm going to be building and validating over the coming month. So if you followed the journey last week, I launched this product update AI assistant called Smart Updates. Got some interest, 250 web visitors, 15th on Product Hunt, and 2 sales. So great, some real potential there. But I didn't see enough demand, people queuing at the door to say this has real potential for product market fit. So I've moved on to another idea. This week I've looked at a few different things, 3 specifically. The first being sort of startup idea positioning. So let's say you have a founder, they have a startup most likely, or at least they have a pretty concrete idea, and saying, okay, how do we help them now position that, basically communicate it in a way that the target audience goes, oh cool, that's something I'm interested in, and sign up or pay for it. Second solution idea I had was something around one-on-one management. So specifically for product people, probably first-time managers saying, okay, great, I've got these one-on-ones with all of my direct reports. I've got no freaking idea what to do, how to organize them, etc. So something around that. I wasn't quite sure what it was going to be. And the third one I've looked at is a coaching management platform. So if you're an independent product coach, for example, you've got all these different coaches, you've got loads of different projects on. How do you organize all of that? It could be the finances, the admin, the sales funnel, the tracking the one-on-one calls that you have, and like the next steps from that, for example. So what I do initially, and I've come up with loads of ideas over the last few months, is just add a load of just random ideas as I'm walking around, or I'll sit down and do like a blocked hour or two, just lots of sort of rough solution ideas. I'll then go, okay, well, what's going on here? What's the surface level problem that I'm trying to solve? I'll give an example in a second. What's the deeper problem here? And see if that helps me go in other directions. Who's the target market? And then I've got these these sort of filters that I like to add on to give me a bit of a green light to say, yeah, this is an idea that's worth considering. Example, let's take just the one I explored quite deeply this week, coaching management platform. Okay, so I said, yeah, there's something here around how people manage the people they're coaching. What's the problem? Managing their progress, right? You've got lots of different people, what happened last week or last month, next steps, etc. What's the deeper problem though? Actually for this person, right? If they're not getting results with the coachee, then they're probably not going to renew the business. That's going to affect the business. Business is going to struggle. And I said, who specifically? Independent product coaches. I felt this is quite more acute for them. It's also B2C, so I can sort of sell directly to them rather than try and get sign off for a big company where obviously, director of product will be managing lots of people, or even a product manager, for example. Oh, sorry, click the wrong tab. Newsletter. If you want to sign up for the newsletter, then please do. So let's carry on with that thread. Then essentially I put it through filters. Right? Generally, I'm trying to look for ticking the majority of these, but it really is a case of, okay, it could be weak on a few areas of assessment, but I'm still going to go for it. First one, acuteness, right? How acute is this problem? If it's really acute, people are going to be willing to test out. They're going to be willing to pay you. If it's not, what we call a vitamin, it's really hard to get people to hand over their money. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with this one, and we'll talk about discovery call shortly. I felt this is probably, relatively acute for this person, right? Their time is short. They need to be maximizing, bringing in sales and actually doing the coaching calls because that's what pays the bills. Secondly, I asked myself, is this idea addressable? Do I have access to market? I said, yeah, I know lots of product coaches, met personally on LinkedIn, got good relationships with about 5 people in this group. So yeah, I can access them to test and validate the ideas. Is this niche enough? Sorry, this is the one we're looking at. Is it niche enough, right? Am I going really specific? It's not good enough to say like anyone that manages product people. It's way too broad. I felt in this case, yeah, I'm going pretty specific, right? Product coaches independent, most likely just based in the UK, let's say to start. A couple of, unique things around like taxation and things like that. So I thought, yeah, this is pretty specific. Is it exciting? Is this something I'm excited about doing? Personal choice, obviously. Yeah, I think there's something there. Market potential. Here I'm sort of aggregating everything I feel about, and I'll come back and always edit this one. Do I feel like I could differentiate something here? Do people pay for these kind of things? Is there room to grow this effectively? Right, so rather than doing pages and pages of business plan, this is just a sense, really from a lot of practice. But there's some questions you can ask yourself here, and I'll share the sheet obviously after or below the video. Easy creation. Where I'm at now, super early on, can I see a path forward in terms of building a solution? Is it something possible? Right, example of something I haven't considered would be, I think it'd be this Monday, something I might build, Monday morning aggregator. It'd be really cool. All of your emails and your Slack messages, all of your comms, aggregated down into a nice like five list bullet point on a Monday morning. Awesome. Difficult to implement for me personally as a not very technical person. Okay, so I'm just not going to do it. Then I've got word of mouth. So do I see potential for this to, so let me get the right tab for you. Do I see potential for this to be spread, to have some sort of like, let's call it product-led growth, right? Some sort of natural growth there. People, these people will know each other, these product coaches. It's a tight-knit community from having worked with them. So yeah, I do see potential there. And obviously the product coaches may be using this with the coachee themselves and they can spread through organizations. Then we've got something called dog fooding. This is essentially asking yourself, would I use this myself? And would I actually use it myself if I really push my thinking here? If yes, then pretty quickly when I'm building this, I'm going to get a sense of like, is this good enough? I didn't feel that was true with smart updates here at the top. There was potential, and there is still potential there. But as it was, I felt, is it good enough? Is it so much better than ChatGPT for that one that I would switch over to it and pay for it? Probably not if I put myself in my user's shoes. And finally, is there a macro wave? That could be a big shift in tech, a big shift in beliefs, right? Like working from home is the default. Post-COVID would be a belief. And then regulatory, right? Has some government change enabled something change, creating new problems. For example, like GDPR, we saw loads of GDPR companies pop up after that came in. So ask myself these questions and then see, in this case, really good scoring. I said, okay, cool. There's really good potential here. So let's take that forward. And essentially I looked at three ideas. So it's looking at one-on-one management. How do you manage that one-on-one relationship, coaching management platform, and something around startup positioning. So once I've generated lots of ideas and filtered them down, just initially here, and I'm doing this really quick. I'm literally going market potential, mid, high, done, next one. Really that quickly. Sometimes I go over to ChatGPT, sometimes I'll do a bit of research, but generally just want a quick sense of the idea before I take it more seriously. Then what happens? I'm going to go over to a MIRO board, and again, I'll link this under the video. And here's where I'm really mapping out really the business plan, right? What's the sort of the core of this as a business? And each column is one specific idea. So let's go through the three I've initially talked about, and then I'm just going to go through one example of the three that I initially considered, and then, as I said, after I'm going to talk about big mindset shift I had and why I'm I'm actually committing to another idea completely. Let's carry on with our sort of product coach co-pilot concept here. So here what I'm doing, just restating the problem, exploring it a little bit more, what's actually going on here. Ultimately, it's about, less time equals less money coming in. That threatens the business. I think for most product coaches, that's a big thing, because actually if they went and got a leadership product role, they're probably on 100, 200K, and they may be struggling to hit 100K independently. Okay, so money and time are really important here. So that's what's really going on. Then I'll very quickly, if I know the market well, I'll just get down my own ideas. If not, or I'll supplement with ChatGPT and say something like, and actually I'll load that up in a second, my conversations with ChatGPT. I'll be like, okay, what are the 5 ways that independent product coaches manage the people they coach? What kind of groups of solution? We've got customer relationship management. We've got scheduling tools, project management, comms like Slack, for example. I'll then try and really thrash out the target market and see, can I go more specific? So I generated some ideas here, and then said, I actually think if we went for like an independent product coach specializing in AI and ML makes quite a lot of sense, not because it's a cool new trend, but because it's quite a new thing. They're going to be less confident in their suggestions. So if we're adding a really nice feature like auto suggestions of next steps or books to read or articles, then it's going to be more useful than, let's say, somebody that's worked in ecom for 40 years and is just like knows everything about it, is super confident in their suggestions. So it makes it more acute for that subgroup. Then I will fill in lean canvas. So probably not rocket science for most of you. Here, a lean canvas is very easy to fill out, right? You just sort of go, what's the problem? The solution idea. The value of lean canvas is really stress testing your thinking, actually asking hard questions, not just mindlessly adding things in here, but saying, why does this make sense? Right? Revenue streams, really easy just to put down, a monthly subscription, right? Everyone does it. Why does that make sense? I'm actually going to go through the lean canvas on the idea I'm going to be building, because that's an example I'm really showing, hopefully, that I'm stress testing my thinking and therefore improving the ideas on there. Third element of this, very important, is Blue Ocean Strategy Canvas. So here what we're trying to do is say, where can we find what we call blue ocean, right? A space without lots of competition, where we can really own the market or create a new category. And here I'll use ChatGPT. I'll basically say, right, based on the five types of solution that currently exist for this target market and for this problem, list out the areas of value, right, the things they do well, and then score them. In this case, I did 1 to 3. Usually I'll do 1 to 5, in fact. And for example, we might go, okay, what's CRM good at? CRM's good at obviously client relationship management, but it's also good at task and progress management. So we might think of a Kanban board. It's like, okay, as someone, we've had a discovery call, we've sold, we've had our first session, we want to check in after our 10th session. We might have all these different things going on there. We can customize usually quite effectively. For comms platform, what's really good? Yeah, quality communication, ease of use generally. Think of Slack there. And then when I come to actually really considering the idea, I'm going to then fill in my own scoring, right? When I sort of go, okay, I've got a solution I'm serious about. And also what we really want to do is add new areas, right? What are the areas that we think the competitors are missing here and that we could score really highly in? So if we score highly in these, we can ignore the other things generally. Right? And that's the key to Blue Ocean is hyper differentiation. Do a few things really well that other people are not doing, and don't worry about trying to compete on the other elements. Right? We're not going to beat Slack at quality communication. We're not going to beat a massive CRM tool like Active Campaign. It's got 1,000 developers probably. Salesforce. We're not going to beat that. So we're not going to play the game essentially. And finally, I won't zoom in on this because it's private conversations, but the discovery calls, right? So ideally we want to speak to at least 5 people, at least 10, depends on how much time you've got, and just speak to them and ask them about the problem. I had a few really interesting conversations here that actually showed me that I don't know what I would be solving specifically here. And secondly, that really it's about helping product coaches get more leads. We're in a tough economic environment. That's the priority. They need more sales. It's not about, oh my God, I'm at max capacity and I can't manage all of my coachees. There is a niche there of very busy, very popular product coaches, but I didn't, get response from those people, didn't have the calls, and I just don't know what's going on there. So I said, question mark, let's just park it. Right. So that's my way of really assessing, going detailed and saying, right, let's see what the business plan could be, and then do we jump in or not? And I did that with these 3 ideas. There are other elements that I will use, by the way, like strategic roadmap, essentially sort of mapping out high level goals, objectives, jobs to be done, that kind of thing. However, I pivoted completely from these 3 ideas. Right? I've pivoted completely. I might come back to them, but for now I've pivoted. Why? Because of a really key concept that I've included earlier, but that I would like to just highlight before we jump in. Dog fooding. When we're early, we're not going to get loads of objective, particularly quantitative nor qualitative data. If we've got maybe 10 people using the product, we don't know exactly what's going on, why they're using it, why they're not using it, what they're going to pay for, etc. And I thought, with these ideas, I want something that I would actually use. Like, what is a problem that I am facing right now that I can quite easily go, okay, I'm going to build it. If it's good enough that I use it, then other people are probably going to use it as well. So I thought about exactly what I'm doing right now, right? Startup idea generation. I've got this, this system with Google Sheets here and with MIRO, but it's pretty messy. There are things that I would love this to do that I can't do in its current form. Like, it's sort of good enough, but I think there could be a massive step change here in the ability to manage, not just generate and also assess startup ideas really effectively. So what I did, essentially, I use a lot of Remarkable, by the way, that this physical tablet, wherever it is, great way of taking notes, but physical paper, whatever, don't care. But physical notes sometimes really work. So I sat down and basically asked myself, as I said, like smart updates, I wouldn't use it as it is right now. Why should anyone else pay for it, therefore? So I sat down and said, okay, well, what are other ideas? Like, what are the problems I'm facing? And what could I do to solve it? Maybe productize things that I'm already doing in Excel or manually, or just thinking through without really sharing that or writing that down. So I looked at sort of startup idea auditing. And in this case, I basically just I said, well, like, surely there are solutions for this. So I went onto to Product Hunt, and just looked at anything related to startup idea generation. Listed any ideas, right? For example, there was a concept of buy a startup idea for $5. There was a startup idea bot, not surprising, particularly with ChatGPT's API coming in last year, but actually pretty crap, right? They're basically the same as ChatGPT, or just giving you completely irrelevant ideas. So, you could go, great, well, here's 100+ startup ideas, but if none of them are for you or your skill set or experience or interest, then what's the point? It's just a waste of time. So I thought, well, what if we could actually do something around finding and validating the right startup idea for you, right? For your unique profile, maybe focus on profitable startup ideas, not just for, world-changing Facebook, Googles, but also for solopreneurs or bootstrappers, for example. And you'll see it's like a pretty messy process where I'll then go, okay, like, what roughly could this look like? Some sort of input about things you're interested in. Could be a simple chat. We could embed Google Trends, Troll Reddit for keywords and problems, Product Hunt for products in this category. Did basic jobs to be done here. Maybe you input your unique criteria, view trends, choose one trend, develop a startup idea using something like a lean canvas. And then I raised this up because I think it's really important. I sort of stepped away and this morning, went surfing to mull this over and say, okay, well, great. Yeah, that's just sounds it's like using AI for the sake of it. And it's like an AI wrapper. Right? And actually said, what would I actually use? It doesn't need to be that complicated. It basically needs to be that Excel and MIRO with a little bit of steroids injected. So I sat down, came back, right? I'm not working, and I always feel the pressure to just be working, right? Came back and said, okay, let's grab a coffee, sit down. What are the jobs to be done for me specifically? It's adding ideas relevant for me that are in my brain or scattered around notes, assessing them, sort of using the filters that I have here, basically recreating Excel. Some sort of like view / filter. So can I star ones I'm thinking about, comments, move them around, etc. So sort of like Excel, better version of Excel here, and generate new ideas. Right at the moment, I'm sort of doing that manually. I'm watching YouTube videos, I'm trawling forums, etc. Be great to get relevant ideas, right? Not just new random ideas, but relevant to my interest. Some sort of assessment. So rather than me going, oh shit, is this a good idea or not? I've got no idea. Can we build that out? Some sort of assessment that it, for example, could score. Say I come up with an idea for a product pitch writing assistant, and it just scores based on these things that we're assessing here, these sort of best practice assessments. That'd be really helpful. Could then select a few ideas and eventually go and validate it, for example. And then very messy, but just to give you a sense here of, okay, well, what could it look like? What kind of pricing model might make sense? And then I said, okay, so there's something here. Let's now go and really thrash this out. And then that's where I filled in, for example, the lean canvas here. Key elements being unique value proposition. So how do I, is this really unique? And I think this element of the right idea for you, that's relevant, plus the organization of ideas is really valuable. If it's just a startup idea generator, then is it really better than just using ChatGPT, for example? And then the other tough questions, cost and revenue, right? So costs, if you followed the journey, I'm basically sticking to bubble fee, $29 per project. API calls, would need to work out what I'm using, why, what do I need, what does that cost? And then basically at the moment, I'm thinking subscriptions make sense because, when your startup ideation is an intense thing, you're not doing it every month, right? Maybe some, really high level serial entrepreneurs. You're probably going a couple of ideas in the background. So, okay, well, why don't we do that for free? Maybe a day pass. You do an intense day where you're just generating lots of ideas in the hope of starting a business. And then just all lifetime access where you basically, this is your home base. Someone like me that's starting lots of businesses, I've got a nice home base, all the ideas I can generate, organize, and get feedback on the ideas from, let's say, friends and family. Cool. There's something there. So that's the process I use for generating and assessing startup ideas really effectively. Below, I'm going to share the transcript from ChatGPT. I'm going to share the MIRO. I'm going to share the Google Sheets as well, just so you can see the details of the 4 ideas I've mapped out. If someone wants to go build them, great. I'd be more than happy that someone goes and solves those problems. But that's it. Within 10 minutes, I will come up with an idea, put it through the Google Sheets, take the ones I'm serious about onto MIRO, and then from there, start going, right, let's move from discovery to some discovery calls. I'll use this board, and that's what I'm going to be using the next week. Do some feasibility assessment. So saying, okay, great, I've got, this is roughly what I want to build. I know what this is. You don't, so you probably can't work it out, but that's fine as long as I know it. Right, I'm going to go feasibility. Okay, what are the big questions I need to think about? So there's, generation, right? Some sort of API call. How do I make that good? Or auto-generate with AI. Getting friends to maybe rate or vote your ideas, like product hunts, something there I want to look into. And then as I move into week 3, I'll start building properly, and week 4, then actually launch the product. So that's it. And all of this is based on this stat of 90% of products failing. So we don't want to just generate one startup in place, one bet. It's really important to get 10 good ideas down. That means maybe 50 ideas on a list, filtered down to 10 that you could take seriously, maybe 3 or 4 that you really actually go and build. If you like this video, please subscribe, please comment. The first time I've done something like this, if it's valuable, please let me know. If there's anything else you want to see, let me know as well. But yeah, you can subscribe below and also find all the resources I've mentioned below the video.